seen a swarm of bees before? Before we had bees and I was helping my dad with them, I had never actually seen a swarm of bees either. Today, you're gonna get to see a swarm and also see how we catch it. So I wanna show you some footage of us catching our first ever swarm and talk to you more about why we caught the swarm, why we even let our bees swarm, what even is a bee swarm, just little tidbits of information as we go and you watch that footage with me. Also, just a disclaimer, my father was the beekeeper expert. He had had bees for quite a few years. He did pass away in January. He gave my husband and I his bees, and we are doing our best to use the knowledge that he passed down to us and really help them succeed. That being said, I am high on the theoretical knowledge side. I'm not really high on the experience side. So take this video for what you may. If you're an expert beekeeper or know more than me, I would welcome your feedback in the comments. So let's get started. So the first swarm of bees that we saw this year was in April 5th. The time your bees will swarm will depend on where you live, because they are going to swarm after they've had some first initial food of the spring season. So what a swarm of bees is, it's where the 2-year-old queen, or she might be older, but the original queen takes a bunch of bees and they all leave the hive, because in the hive there are plenty of other bees and they also have what are called queen cells, so cells that they have pulled down that will be queens. So they don't do that until they've had some brood hatch, and having a lot of brood and it hatching does depend on how much they can feed them. So that's why it is really weather dependent. This year it was a little earlier because we had a really hot spring. So it was April 5th. I know in my dad's old planner book it looked like it was in May that they swarmed, so it really can vary. We had come out here to feed the bees and we just happened to see the swarm. Fortunately, swarms last quite a while. So they start off with all the bees flying around separately, and then slowly they cluster together on a branch, a tree. If you're lucky, it will be somewhere within reach. I have seen my dad climb up like 50 feet, 100 feet in the air to get a bee swarm. I was really nervous for him. Anyway, luckily they all landed in this cedar tree that was really close to the ground. It was super easy to catch. So we had plenty of time to go get all of our equipment. I got my camera so that I could record it for you, and we were able to suit up because they don't sting as much when they're swarming, but that is still something to think about. You definitely don't want to be stung. Some beekeepers won't let their bees swarm because it can affect the honey production. Initially after they swarm, you know, a lot of the bees go away, and you probably won't catch every swarm if you're letting them swarm naturally. So you'll notice that some beekeepers, and some might even on here, tell me, oh, we don't let our bees swarm. You shouldn't let your bees swarm. I've heard that from local beekeepers as well. I'm going to tell you why my dad told us to let our bees swarm. So if you're a beekeeper, you've probably heard of varroa mite. That has been the biggest pest right now that are killing out domestic bees. However, varroa mite doesn't hurt wild bees nearly as much as domestic bees. And there's a reason for this that my dad hypothesized, is because when a bee swarms naturally, like wild bees will, there will be what is called a brood break. So there will be no queen in the hive to lay more eggs, and so that hive will then have a period of time where they can clean out the entire hive without new brood. So varroa mite develops in the larvae with the new brood, and if you don't have any brood for those few weeks during the brood break, you're going to be able to have the varroa mite aren't going to be able to produce. So that is why we went ahead and let our bees swarm. We also let them swarm because we wanted some additional hives. We are still dealing with pests. If you get a beehive, that beehive doesn't, like I thought when my dad gave us our first 3 hives that they were just going to last forever. But they don't. They die out, unfortunately. A lot of things can end up happening to your bees So if you want to keep the same number of bees, you really need to be almost doubling them every year. Here you see me cut off the branch and take it to the hive.
I have to have you help grab it, Dannon. Okay, come here. Would you help? Would you
cut it?
Cut it, yep.
I had a big accident here. I tripped over the fence. This was not the right move.
Huh? I tripped.
It's all about the queen.
I know. Let me look over here.
So what we did later was move the box to the cedar tree, and then I was able to move the bees not very far. So to catch a swarm, all you have to do is literally cut off whatever the swarm is on and just shake them into the box. You might have to keep doing this over and over again. As they fly back, that means you haven't gotten the queen yet. Once you get the queen and you shake off the bees into the hive, all of the bees should start to stay in the hive.
Okay. Okay. Seems like they're leaving. Okay. Oh, hey, look, they're starting to, I think they're moving the other direction. Maybe.
So here you can see that we just continue to go and grab some more bees out of the tree and go shake them into the hive. And we just kept repeating this and repeating this until there was really no more bees in the trees. When there was no more bees in the trees, we knew that that meant that they had all started to stay in the box, which meant that there was a queen in there. A really interesting thing happened on the box. After all the bees came, or after we'd shaken the bees off, we started to notice that all the bees were just completely swarming and surrounding the box. They were here and then they were slowly climbing in. We let all the bees climb in. Before too long though, we moved the box away from the cedar tree into its permanent location. We didn't want to take too much time to wait and move the box because we didn't want them to become oriented to that spot. Moving bees is something that you have to be careful about. We were able to move them quick enough that we didn't have any issues with the bees refinding that home.
One of the final steps was to put the frames back into the box. We took the frames, at least half the frames, out of the top box when we went to catch the bees so that we'd have plenty of room to shake the branches into the super. You might be able to leave the frames in and just shake the bees on top of them. I am not positive which is the best way, but this one did work for us, so we continued to do that on the other hives. We actually put some empty, for the later hives, we put a completely empty super on top and then put the frames in after we had caught the bees. It is a slow, delicate process because we, of course, don't want to squish any of the precious little bees that are coming in.
This type of hive right here really is a perfect starting hive because it's already got the beeswax created, so the bees can start just putting directly up honey, putting up brood. One of the things that we learned is the bees make honey 8 to 1 with how much beeswax they make. So basically, it takes them 8 times as much stuff to make the beeswax as it does the honey. hive is going to be a strong hive going into summer. There we go.
That hive that we collected is still alive today. Today is June 4th. I'm very delayed in taking a video about this. Today's June 4th, and that beehive is still alive. The hive that you saw in the video is over here. Look how good it looks. There's so many bees coming in and out. So we were successful. We trapped another hive. They're going to be giving us honey.